Spent hours reading a totally fascinating article or poring over detailed notes, feeling like you've completely grasped the concepts, only to wake up the very next day and realize your brain just hit the delete button? It's like a ruthless Marie Kondo got in there and decided your new knowledge just didn't spark joy, right? It is honestly one of the most universally frustrating experiences we all go through. You put in the time, you put in the effort, and poof, the knowledge just vanishes. But hey, today we're not just going to sit around and talk about why that frustrating reality happens. We are going to look at the exact scientifically backed mechanism to stop it dead in its tracks.
Okay, let's dive into this. Why do we forget almost everything? It's kind of a provocative question, right? And I actually want you to point it directly at your own brain right now. Think about it. You process literally thousands of data points a day. So why does your mind stubbornly hold on to the catchy lyrics of some random pop song from 10 years ago, but completely dump the crucial career-enhancing statistics you literally just learned yesterday afternoon? Like, what's the logic behind what stays and what goes? Well, to understand the ultimate solution to memory retention, we first have to meet the enemy.
Section 1. The forgetting curve.
And that brings us right to the scientific history of our memory, and frankly, the primary antagonist of our entire learning process. It was mapped out by a pioneer named Hermann Ebbinghaus. He essentially established the mathematics of forgetting. So by testing his own memory over various time periods, he discovered something wild. Our brains don't just misplace information accidentally. No, they actively, systematically, and predictably discard it over time. The forgetting curve is the visual representation of this data loss. It shows us that unless we actually intervene, newly acquired information is on a strict, downward trajectory toward absolute oblivion. Your brain is a highly efficient machine, you see. If it doesn't think you're going to use the data again, it just deletes it to save mental space.
Section 2. The 24-hour memory drop.
Prepare yourselves for this one, because we are about to transition into a rather stark reality about just how aggressively your brain clears its cache. Ready? 70%. Let that sink in for a second. 70%. This isn't just some small, slow leak in your mental bucket. This staggering metric represents the massive, overwhelming amount of new information your brain actively loses. Think about what that actually means for your daily life. If you sit down and learn 10 brilliant new concepts today, 7 of them are already packing their bags by the time your head hits the pillow tonight.
So the crucial point is this incredibly tight time frame, within 24 hours. That 70% data loss doesn't happen over a year or a month or even a slow week. It happens almost immediately. Literally, by this time tomorrow, the vast majority of what you exposed your brain to today will be entirely gone. The window to save that information from the mental trash bin is just incredibly tight. This represents an absolute crisis for effective learning. But thankfully, the research gives us a highly effective way to fight back.
Section 3. The spacing effect. Enter the hero of our narrative and the scientifically backed solution to that brutal 24-hour drop. It's called spaced repetition. So this is the practice of fighting memory loss by deliberately reviewing your material at strategically increasing intervals. Instead of, cramming all your studying into one 4-hour block, which Ebbinghaus essentially proved is highly inefficient for long-term retention anyway, you're purposefully intercepting the forgetting process. You are actively stepping in and telling your brain, no, wait, keep this is important stuff. Spaced repetition directly and beautifully fights the inevitability of the forgetting curve by totally resetting it.
Let's move to and see how this builds on our timeline using highly specific, strategic intervals. One day, then 3 days, then 1 week, and then 1 month. Listen, this isn't random guesswork. It's a highly structured, strategic map for retention. You review the information at the 1-day mark, right as that massive 70% drop is about to happen. By refreshing it then, you flatten the curve, buying yourself 3 days of memory retention. Then, bam, you hit it again at the 3-day mark. The curve flattens even more, buying you a full week, and so on. You are mathematically hacking the decay rate of your own memory just by spacing out your repetitions.
Section 4. Strengthening neural pathways. Now we reach the analytical climax of our explainer. We know the timeline works, but why exactly does this spacing protocol work so effectively on a biological level? Well, and this brilliantly illustrates the biological difference between succeeding and failing to learn. A forgetting brain simply experiences passive data loss. It's doing nothing, so the data just slips away. But a re-verifying brain, that brain is engaged in targeted action. The entire secret engine of spaced repetition is that it forces the brain to re-verify the data just at the exact moment it's about to be forgotten. The actual mental struggle of trying to recall it right on the edge of forgetting, That is the trigger. It signals to your biology that this data is absolutely essential, forcing the brain to dedicate actual physical resources to keep it.
Strengthening the neural pathways. I absolutely love this quote from the source material because it is just so architectural. I want you to think of your brain like a dense, overgrown forest. The first time you learn something, it's like you're just walking through the tall grass, leaving a faint little trail that will undoubtedly regrow and disappear by tomorrow. But by forcing the brain to re-verify the data at those strategic spaced intervals, you are paving a permanent road. You are mechanically and biologically reinforcing the physical connections in your mind. This isn't just some clever mental trick, guys. It is literal biological construction. You are actively turning temporary thoughts into permanent neural highways.
Which brings us to a direct challenge for you today. How will you structure your learning tomorrow? Knowing absolutely for a fact that Ebbinghaus's curve is just waiting in the wings to silently steal 70% of what you learned today within the next 24 hours, are you going to let that knowledge passively slip away? Or are you going to utilize spaced repetition, intentionally interrupt that memory drop, and force your brain to build those permanent neural pathways? The science of memory is crystal clear here. Beating the curve is no longer a mystery. It's honestly just a matter of your timing. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Use this strategy